Husband lacks manly qualities I find attractive, as he is not handy, not into manly hobbies, and doesn't take charge in the bedroom. Hey Reddit, I'm Iva, and I feel like I'm in a mess. My husband, Gaddis, just isn't the manly guy I always imagined being with. We met 6 years ago at a local coffee shop in Riga, and it was one of those fairy tale romances, at least at first. Gaddis was sweet, attentive, and had a sense of humor that could light up the dullest of days. But over the years, I started noticing things, or rather the lack of things that began to bug me. When we were dating, Gaddis's lack of manly traits wasn't a big deal. I thought, who needs a handyman when you can hire one? But as we settled into married life, the reality started to bite. Our friends' husbands were building shelves, fixing leaks, and tinkering with cars. Meanwhile, Gaddis could barely change a light bulb without calling his father for guidance. It felt like I'd married a boy rather than a man. This isn't what I signed up for, and it became more apparent as time went on. So, Gaddis isn't handy. Fine. Maybe he has other manly hobbies, right? Wrong. Gaddis's idea of a fun weekend is binge-watching anime or playing video games for hours on end. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good show. But where's the outdoor adventure, the thrill-seeking? Our friends' husbands are into fishing, hunting, or even just working on their cars. They have stories of near-death experiences, wild camping trips, and crazy sports. Gaddis? He can tell you about the latest anime plot twist or his high score on some obscure video game. One day we were at a BBQ at our friend Andrus's place. Andrus is the epitome of what I consider a real man. He's rugged, always doing something with his hands, and knows how to handle himself. His wife, Lima, was telling us about their latest camping trip, and everyone was captivated. Then the conversation shifted to Gaddis. Someone asked what we did last weekend, and Gaddis enthusiastically shared his new anime discovery. I saw the eye rolls, the barely hidden smirks. I felt so embarrassed. Let's talk about the bedroom. Or rather, let's not. Gaddis is, well, he's passive. He never takes charge, never initiates anything new or exciting. It's like I'm always the one steering the ship, and it gets tiring. I've tried talking to him about it, dropping hints, even outright telling him what I want. But nothing changes. He's too gentle, too cautious. Where's the passion, the fire? I want a man who can take control, make me feel desired. But with Gaddis, it's always the same old routine. It feels like we're just going through the motions, and it's killing my libido. One night, after yet another lackluster encounter, I just snapped. I told him I needed more, that I was tired of being the only one trying to keep the spark alive. He looked hurt, confused, and maybe a bit scared. He promised he'd try to be better, but I could see he didn't really understand what I was asking for. Things came to a head last month. We were at another gathering, this time at my sister Yeva's place. Yeva's husband, Edgar's, is another one of those man's man types. He's always fixing things, building things, being the protector. During dinner, the conversation turned to house projects. Edgar's was bragging about his latest DIY achievement, and then someone asked Gaddis if he had any projects in the works. He laughed awkwardly and said something about not being the handy type. The room fell silent for a moment, and then the topic changed, but I could feel the judgment. On the way home, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I exploded. I told Gaddis how frustrated I was, how I felt like I was carrying all the weight of our relationship, and how I was sick of being married to someone who couldn't even fix a damn shelf. He was quiet for a long time, and then he said, "I'm sorry, Iva. I never knew you felt this way, but this is who I am. I can't change overnight." After that night, things were tense between us. I could see Gaddis trying to make an effort. He watched YouTube videos on basic repairs. He suggested we go on a hike, which lasted all of 20 minutes before he complained about the bugs. and he even tried to be more assertive in bed. But it all felt forced, unnatural. I appreciated the effort, but it just wasn't enough. I realized that I was asking him to be someone he's not. A week ago, I sat Goddess down and told him we needed to talk. I was honest with him. I told him I loved him, but that I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I needed more from a partner than he could give. He looked devastated. He told me he loved me more than anything and that he'd do anything to make it work. But I knew deep down that it wasn't fair to either of us. We were fundamentally incompatible. We decided to separate. It was the hardest decision I've ever made, but I know it's the right one. Goddess deserves someone who loves him for who he is, and I deserve someone who fulfills my needs. It's going to be a tough road ahead, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we both find what we're looking for. So, that's my story, Reddit. I guess sometimes love just isn't enough. Thanks for reading.